Absolutely. That ties in well with beach renourishment, and that's been a big topic and a lot happening with that right now. How is that going, and what's the Chamber's view on beach renourishment?
Well, we think protecting our beaches is absolutely critical. As much as we talk a lot about building Interstate 73 or funding tourism promotion, creating more air service or expanding an airport, we think that the most critical resource we have to protect is that beach, because 60 miles of sand along the Grand Strand literally is gold in the eyes of South Carolina and this nation, as it generates what is really needed to sustain a $4 billion tourism industry. Beach renourishment is unfortunately a necessary evil. Over time, the sand washes away, our beaches become less plentiful, less narrow, and so it's important to protect our beach line and to protect our tourism industry. It's tough, though, Greg, because when you go to the United States Congress, for every legislator that's on the coast and understands that, there are 3 or 4 that just don't get it. Now, if we were talking about soybean subsidies in Nebraska, believe me, we'd have no problem getting federal monies, but when it comes to the coastline, it's a bit of a challenge, and this past year there were $0 in the federal budget, not $1 allocated, so it took a lot of work by people like Lindsey Graham and Henry Brown, as well as the support of Congressman Spratt and Congressman Claiborne, to solidify funds for our area. In fact, we hit a huge home run, and credit the mayors in our area, Mayor John Rhodes, Marilyn Hatley, Roy Hyman, as well as Mayor Armstrong from Atlantic Beach, and our County Council Chairwoman Liz Gillen, who worked together with the congressional delegation to get nearly $40 million for renourishment.
Is that
That's
right?
A huge amount we have not seen in any recent year, but it won't be sustaining dollars that will recur on a regular basis. So each year we're going to have to go back to the state and federal government and lobby for a little bit more. Now, that's a lot of money, and some people question buying sand with that much money, but in our case, that sand sustains tourism, and tourism sustains this state. So it's an important battle. Like offshore drilling, we want to make sure we're ahead of the issue, because if we don't protect ourselves and our coastline, we can't protect tourism, and that's not only bad for the Grand Strand and PD, that's bad for our entire state.
That is tremendous, Brad. $40 million, and of course, when we see the machines out or see the big pieces pulling sand out and shipping it back inland, how does that work exactly? Would the $40 million will be allocated principally to bring more sand up to the beaches?
Yeah, the Army Corps of Engineers will go out and find resources they can draw from the sand. They'll actually pipe it in, and it's not the most prettiest of the processes, but it certainly is relatively efficient in the way they've done it. We've been very fortunate this time that they're able to start on the south end and work northward, and we think it's going to have a huge impact. And of course, part of this money as well, Greg, will go to pipes that will take stormwater off the beach. One of the challenges we face is that in any given day, when it's hot and dry in the summer and we get a little bit of a rain, it'll wash bacteria into some of the swashes, and nobody likes to see those beach closure signs. Usually we're only closing 50 or 75 feet where you have a high level of bacteria. Our goal is to eventually have enough pipes that we'll be able to run all that bacteria out into the middle of the ocean. Nothing dangerous or toxic, but it's certainly not something you want young children swimming in. And so this infrastructure improvement will allow us to do that. That's important not only to those of us who want to enjoy ourselves on the beach with our families, but we also want to make sure that we protect our beach readings and we don't give the impression that our beaches aren't clean. We have some of the cleanest beaches in all the eastern United States, but because we voluntarily test more often than most, we need to take the precautions of moving that stormwater out where it won't impact any human being.
So there are communities that do not test as on a regular basis as the Myrtle Beach area.
Yeah, and this area, in fact, the entire state of South Carolina tests far more regularly on its coastline than most other states. It's a good thing because it keeps all of us very aware of the situation, and if there were to be a problem, we would know it far sooner than most. Unfortunately, it's like anything, when you measure more often than you stand the test of reporting, and sometimes the media outside of our area might not understand that, so we have to work with them to better indicate exactly what is going on the coastline. The bottom line is, among 60 miles of the Grand Strand, there's probably always going to be a 50-foot stretch of beach that might have some high bacteria levels. The important thing is we're honest about it, we're up front, we're measuring it regularly, and now the challenge is what do we do to solve those problems and make sure that the water along the coastline is as clean as it can be.
Absolutely. Brad, we got about 5 minutes, and there's so many other big topics. Of course, you talked about transportation a good bit yesterday. I-73 is going to happen. The Chamber's goal is that it will happen within the next decade.
Absolutely. We need I-73. It can bring new jobs and new industry. It will also help the tourism industry grow as we're able to get tourists here more quickly and for those of us who live here, it's important to think that, during the height of the summer season, with all our visitors and residents, we're just about as big as Charlotte. So imagine having a major hurricane like Katrina take a turn for the worse and maybe pick up speed that we're not prepared for. We need more roads and access out of the area in the event of a hurricane. So for those of us along the Grand Strand, it's about the economy and safety. But when you think about some of your viewers in the PD, places like Marion County, where they desperately need an economic lifeline, I-73 will connect this area to I-95 and enable us to attract new industry into our region. That new industry could bring higher paying jobs, and that's important to the areas throughout South Carolina that desperately need new industry in their region. So hopefully we can see I-73 built within the next 10 years. If we do, Greg, we think it will pay for itself, not only in terms of the job growth, but the growth in tourism along the coast.
We were with Larry Biddle last week on Thursday and Friday at the Coastal Carolina Association of Realtors. We were talking about education, and he had a great quote of Darla Moore's that as it relates to economic development and education, saying there is no relationship between education and economic development. She said education is economic development. Education is economic development. And that really ties in to the aspect that Myrtle Beach Area Chamber of Commerce is working hard to educate as well. I know you all have really pushed the Chamber Academy, something we got excited about, and that stepped out. You all are doing many other vehicles there to get the word out and to educate your members.
I think it's an important part of any Chamber of Commerce to serve its members in the education and training realm. But we also think we've got to be proactive in serving our institutions of education in our community. In the case of Horry County Schools, recent funding decisions at the state level have made it more difficult for us to maintain the standard or achieve the standards that we want in public education, as well as when you look at how our local college, Horry Georgetown Technical College, and our university, Coastal Carolina, are funded, it's embarrassing to think how much they get on a per-student basis in comparison to other institutions throughout the state. So we think part of our role is to be able to say what they may not be able to, and that is that we need more money coming back to our schools, our colleges, our universities along the Grand Strand. But even beyond that, Greg, we think it's important to be proactive in some of the measures that our General Assembly might take that may not always be in the best interest of education. Things like map testing, which gives parents in the school district an opportunity to see how their child does throughout the school year, not just at the end of the school year or beyond. So measures like that where the business community can speak up and say, as Darla Moore has said, that education is economic development. One cannot happen without the other. We need to excel in education both at the lower levels as well as the higher institutions of learning. And we think it's the responsibility of the business community to not only speak up about education, but stand up for our schools. And we certainly intend to do that, and we'll continue to as long as it makes sense.
The event tonight, or really later today, 4:15 to 7:30 out there at Family Kingdom. If viewers are members, or maybe even not members, but this is a good incentive to join, to get out to Family Kingdom on a Thursday. But if they're already members, they can just call to sign up if they haven't yet registered for tonight's event.
Absolutely.
This is after hours.
Call us at 626-7444 and let us know you'd like to come out to the business after hours. It'll probably be one of the best attended ever. There's no better way to end the summer season than spend an evening with your family at one of the world's few oceanfront amusement parks, Family Kingdom Amusement Park, which had a great summer. And we'll be celebrating there tonight. And if you're a member, give us a call. If you're not a member and want to become one, it's a great opportunity to join us, and we look forward to having a great event.
Yes, TripAdvisor ranked them number 5 in America. I was amazed, outside of Disney.
Oh, we were thrilled. I know the owners were very thrilled as well. But, Greg, for about a year now, everybody had heard all the doom and gloom. The pavilion's closing. There's nothing to do in Myrtle Beach. It's just becoming nothing but condos and timeshares. And the reality is there's still more for anybody to do than you could accomplish in one vacation. And I think Family Kingdom is a great example of that. It's a mainstay. It's been a tradition for thousands of visitors for many years. And certainly now it's got a unique role along the ocean front. So we're going to celebrate it in style as we end what we think has been a good summer season for 2007 and look to what we hope to be an even better season in 2008.
Absolutely, Brad. October 25th is getting close as well. A big event, the annual, is it the 67th annual?
That's absolutely right. We'll have our annual meeting. And, of course, Rhonda Rich, who is a phenomenal speaker, great writer as well.
Yeah, we love Rhonda.
Some of your viewers might know her from the articles in the Myrtle Beach Herald. But we're excited to hear her speak, and I hear she is just dynamic. So she'll be giving a keynote address, but there'll be a number of other speakers. Great opportunity for people in the community to learn about economic development from Hugh Owens, who chairs Myrtle Beach Regional EDC. We'll also have Dr. Donald Shunk, who is the research economist for Coastal Carolina University.
Yes.
Phenomenally talented economist.
Who writes for the Herald once a month. Yeah.
He's a great resource, as well as some other programs that will be educational oriented for our members. And then, of course, the luncheon, which is always look forward to, because we will unveil there a number of business awards, like the Small Business of the Year, as well as two very important awards that will be announced that day, the Citizen of the Year and the Ashby Ward Pioneer Award. So it's a neat day. We start out with an entertaining address by Rhonda Rich, some great educational, resourceful speeches in between, and then a luncheon with some awards. If you're looking for a great way to spend half a day, let us know. We'd love to have you at the Chamber's annual meeting.
Brad, you talked about some of the, as I was thinking about a book of Brad Dean quips, you talked about some great inspirations. Ashby Ward's obviously been one of them. Who are the other big inspirations in your life?
Well, I think certainly I draw upon family and coaches and teachers throughout my younger years. But in recent years, people like my wife, Miriam, who is far smarter than I'll ever be, and anytime I ever have a question or need a perspective outside of the chamber, outside of the business community, she certainly has that. I've been very fortunate to work with a number of our local leaders and state leaders, and when I think of people like John Rhodes and Liz Gillen and people in our legislative delegation, Billy Witherspoon has become a great friend, and these are people that you can trust not only to give you feedback about your job and organization, but unique perspectives on the community and its history. And then I'm excited about some of the people who have come into the community in recent years, Greg. We've got a wonderful new individual leading Coastal Carolina University, Dr. David DeCenzo, who I think is a great resource, and people like Dr. DeCenzo, as well as Neil Wilson, who's run Horry Georgetown Technical College for a number of years now. Those have been great resources for me to determine not just what happens in the community, but how can the chamber impact those areas. So I'm fortunate to have a lot of great advisors around me. I've had a number of great chairs at the board level. Of course, you'll be hearing from Bernie Dove tomorrow. And Bernie's been a good friend and a great inspiration for me for many years. So far too many to name in one sitting, but between family, friends, and chamber contacts, I'm fortunate to have a lot of people who aren't just supportive of the chamber, they're supportive of the Grand Strand, and that's certainly, those are the kinds of people you want to have around you.
Those are great words. Thanks so much for being with us this morning, Brad.
Thank you, Greg.
Absolutely. Stay tuned to more Carolina People with Brad Dean coming up next. So glad that Brad opened up with one of my reporters back in May of 2004 with those great words. His goal was to remain out of the spotlight. That quiet giant just creeping up behind. He's remained out of the spotlight, but whenever he gets in front of the spotlight, it's to announce a spectacular new opening, of $10 million that have been raised, and the state chipping another $5 million, showing up in front of the convention center, highlighting a Republican presidential debate coming and talking about other national debates and other activities happening right here in our town, right here in Myrtle Beach. Big opportunities. There's also small things like the warm welcome earlier this week, the business after hours tonight, 4:15 to 7, members and one guest. You'd like to get on that list. You can call in if you're not registered, 626-7444, 626-7444. There's also the big annual membership meeting coming up on October 25th. Lots of things you can do as a member of the chamber. Whether you're an individual, whether you're an employee of a small company, you heard him talk about 4 out of 5 members of the chamber are businesses with less than 10 employees. That could be you. You can be a part of the Myrtle Beach Area Chamber of Commerce. Make a difference. Go online to myrtlebeachareachamber.com or pick up the phone 626-7444. Make a difference.